Thank you for tuning in to another video by yours truly, Toby, the so-called artist. Hi, it's me, Toby, the so-called artist, back again for another YouTube video, and today I want us to sit down, draw, and we're gonna have a little talk, a little chit-chat, because the world is crazy, my mind's on fire, but I need to hold on to my happiness and ground myself in content that keeps my joy up, that keeps me calm and content and helps me deal with everything else that's going on in the world. But it seems that a lot of media today, or the way that people engage in media, is a little crazy, and people are taking a lot of extremes, both those who make media and those who indulge in the media. So I just want to have a little talk, because look, I see it as I have anemia and an iron deficiency. So a lot of times I have to eat food with a lot of salt. And I think that people need to engage with fandoms or with media and subcultures with a lot of salt, because nothing is going to be what it says on the tin. That's just the fact of the matter. When you're engaging with things online, nothing is what it says on the tin. There's always something else there. So I'm going to draw, and we're going to have a little talk and break things down to better help people with adjusting to the drama that comes with being online. And for today, for those people who want to know what I'm drawing, I'm going to be drawing some Invader Zim stuff. I have my little Gur figurine up here. I don't know if the camera will focus on them. But I have an Invader Zim OC. Their name is Vix. I'm going to draw them. And I'm probably going to draw like Professor Membrane because I ship them together. How original, I know. But I'm going to draw some Invader Zim stuff while we talk. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, if I had to describe what being a fan of something is like, I'd say it's like walking into a parking lot and you're gonna go into a store, everything looks super cool in that store and everyone talks about how great it is shopping at this store, but just as you're about to get to the door, you look to the side and there's a flaming dumpster. And it smells putrid. It's currently actively on fire. No one seems to be doing anything about it. And it's like, yeah, that dumpster's on fire and the fire might reach the store, but no one knows if it will, so no one does anything about it. That's what being a fan is like. All of the negative parts of a fandom, or I'm not gonna cookie cutter it, there's a lot of racism and sexism and weirdos, absolute weirdos in fandoms, in the fandom spaces. There's no getting around it. There are gonna be some creeps, and there's gonna be some bad faith actors, and there's gonna be some absolute degenerates. And those people are your flaming dumpsters. Now, sometimes the people who are the most negative in the fandoms are the creators themselves, which I think is just insane. But creativity is not bound by whether or not you are a good or bad person. And I think that's something people get confused. Like, doing something that people like is not an indicator that you are a well-liked person. Anyone can be creative. Anyone can pick up a pencil. And there are drawbacks to that. The same way that anyone can post anything online, you see it yourself when you go online that there are some absolute degenerates out there. So being a fan of something really depends on you and your wherewithal, your sensibility when it comes to engaging with content. Now, I'm not saying that everyone is going to be the perfect fan, or they're going to have a great understanding of media literacy and they know exactly how to confront things they don't like online. No, we're people. We don't have PR training. We don't have brands that we need to focus on not losing deals because we said the wrong thing one time. We're people. We're normal people just trying to have fun. And sometimes when you attach yourself to something, you get really passionate about it, and that's okay. The problem arises when you get so passionate about something that you start lashing out on other people because they don't agree. And a lot of problems I see in fandoms is when people don't agree on things, they don't know how to behave. See, back in my day, if you didn't like something that was happening, you went to a private group chat amongst you and your friends and you talked about it. Or you wrote it down in your diary. But as they say on TikTok, the journal factory must have exploded because so many people don't know how to internalize their thoughts. Everyone says everything out loud in that moment and it causes so many problems. If you are a fan, especially as these days when you're a fan of color, and I say fan of color because I'm black, okay? I'm black as can be. I have always known that when it comes to indulging in content online, there's going to be racism. For the simple fact that people are racist. And I know that if I want to indulge in seeing cute characters on screen or reading fun fantasy stories, then I'm gonna have to just ignore parts of the racism. I'm not saying that you just read things and they're being blatantly racist. I'm saying that if I want to indulge in something and I see that it has a part of it that I don't like, I don't read it. I move on to something else. It's like when I was reading the books, The School of Good and Evil. Those books, I think, have a great retelling of dark fairy tales. However, the School of Good and Evil has a major incest problem. I'm not going to say, spoil too much of the books, but there is a lot of incestuous kissing in those books. I stopped reading it because that's not something I agree with. And that's a major problem with a lot of media is they keep sneaking incest into it, and I hate it. I hate it. Why is it there? Why do they keep doing that? But because I hate those topics, I avoid them. I leave. I exit the building. I don't shop at that store anymore. And it's not so hard to do. And a lot of people understand that concept. It's when you share why you stopped liking something that people get fussy. Because a lot of people think if you don't like something, you can just silently dislike it and move on. That is true. You can silently dislike something and move on. But you can't stop someone from voicing their opinions. If they see something in a fandom that makes them feel weird, they're allowed to say, hey guys, this is kind of weird. They're not signaling for people to bash on the creators or to insult or bully the people that are fans of these things. They're just sharing their opinion. Now, there are people that do that, and I dislike that greatly because you're inciting violence against others, and that's not okay. And I know there's not much that I can do about it, but I do say that if you don't like something or you see someone sharing their opinion online and they're inciting violence, you can block them, you can report the video itself. We're just talking about fictional characters on screens. That's all we're talking about when we're fans of things. And you have to remember that this is a fictional character on a screen. Yes, that character can have an impact on you, or the writing can mean a lot to you, or you bought all the merch and you love watching the show over and over again. That doesn't change the facts. It's just a character. And you have to take a step back and remember that not everyone thinks the same way as you. Not everyone sees things as important as you do. And that's what being a fan is about. Being a fan, I know it's very popularized and a local term that everyone uses for everything, like, oh, I'm such a big fan of this, or I'm the number one fan of this. You have to remember that that makes you the oddity. There's liking things, and then there's loving things, and then there's being a fan of it. So there's levels to it. And not everybody is on your level. You need to tone it down. You need to take a step back before you respond. It doesn't have to be instantaneous. You just gotta breathe in and smell the dumpster fire. You know, it's gonna be gross. It's gonna be gritty. Some people like the messy smell of things, and that's them. You know, everyone has their own prerogative, but other people don't. And sometimes when they get a whiff of the truth or see things how other people see them, they change how they act, or they change what they believe in. They don't indulge in that thing as much. And I'm going to get a bit more personal to myself, because, you know, the only major point of reference I have as being a fan is me. There are several things that I would love to be a bigger fan of, but I can't ignore the dumpster fire that's right next to the building. Like, I love Marvel and DC characters and comic books. There has never not been a dumpster fire with those comics, but in recent years, you know, you got Marvel Rivals. I like some of the designs in Marvel Rivals, but I can't ignore the blatant favoritism and racism. Like, allow me to rant for a bit. I am sick and tired of Storm not getting any new skins. Like, the amount of characters that get new skins that aren't black is astronomical. I will be shocked if they give Storm a new skin in any of the new updates. And the only reason that they give Cloak, who is a black man, a new skin is because he's attached at the hip to that white woman dagger. And I refuse to believe that they're doing it based off of what characters are most popular, because they gave Black Widow a skin and don't nobody play her. But that's my opinion based off of what I've seen. And that's me voicing my opinion. And so because of what I saw going around in that fandom, I took a step back, you know, for myself. I'm going to indulge in content that makes me happy. And that's the most important part. Another thing is, like, I love Cookie Run. I love playing Cookie Run Witch's Tower. I don't play Cookie Run Kingdom because I had a mild video game gambling problem. And I know myself as an adult, I could not resist gambling in Cookie Run Kingdom, so I just didn't play it. I played another game that had less chances of me gambling. But I still understand the story of the game, and I love the cookies in Cookie Run Kingdom. But my problem isn't with the game itself or how some of the characters are portrayed, because I'm one of the people that don't see them as people because they're cookies. So I understand if, like, they can be implied to have a certain racial background, or they can be a certain color. I understand some people will still whitewash a cookie, which doesn't make sense because, like, they have flat colors. You can just color pick right there. I don't know what you're doing. But some people kind of treat the cookies weirdly. Like, this is this person and I'm super attached to them. And I get it. You know, I understand. I've never, like, kinned, I guess that's the word, a character, you know, because I still am not at, you know, I'm not at a point where I see them as real people. This is a character. And I can be attached to a character, but I still recognize that this is still a character. My problem has always been with, as to go back to my store analogy, the shoppers, the other fans in the fandom can ruin your fan experience. Because I'm a casual, you know, I'm a true casual at Cookie Run Kingdom. Some people in the Cookie Run fandom are insane. They are very dedicated to everything and every AU and every art that comes out. They are very dedicated and very intense. And it kind of makes me uncomfortable. So I don't engage with the fandom a lot. It's like way back when I used to draw My Hero Academia fan art. That is another fandom that kind of creeped me out, because when My Hero Academia came out, I was already an adult. So I was detached from being obsessed with the kid characters because they're kids. I liked Fat Gum. I still like Fat Gum. That is a fine piece of man right there. But I like him as a character. And Fat Gum is one of the pro heroes. He's an adult. I'm an adult. So of course I'm going to become more attached to the adult characters. And sometimes I draw fan art of them. And a lot of people would ask me to draw fan art of the like the main characters of the show, which were all teenagers. And I had explained to them that I didn't feel comfortable doing that because the times when I got asked, so many times, people would ask me to draw like suggestive art of the minors from My Hero Academia was alarming. Like, I know most of the fandom were teenagers and like kids themselves, but you can't go online asking adults to draw mature art of these kids. That's weird. And I've had adults ask me to do that too. Some people used to ask me, I'm not going to name names, but they used to ask me to draw like sexy art of, Bakugo? And I was like, no, thank you. No, not doing it. Because, like, I drew sexy art of Aizawa, who was their teacher. I drew sexy art of All Might, who was, like, one of the main adult heroes who's, like, the number one. I'm perfectly fine drawing suggestive art or, like, mature art of adults. But fans will ask you to draw things that are just kids. And I'm like, no. And there needs to be, like, a boundary. Like, you guys can't ask people to do those kind of things. That's weird. And that's what made me, like, take a step back from the fandom. Because I'm like, I know I'm an artist, and I myself am a content creator. But I think it's weird that when I say no, then other fans will continue to push that boundary. Which is where, like, the content creators kind of become more detached. That's the word. Detached from the fandom. Because they themselves, as a content creator, I know for a fact fans do not see us as people after a certain point. We become our little avatars that they see online that just produces something new for them to see. People stop seeing us as people, and now we've become the characters that are a part of the fandom. But I don't want every part of being a fan to be seen as a negative, because being a fan of something allows you to be exposed to a variety of scenarios that can help you grow as a person. I can't even begin to list all of the quotes from TV shows and movies that I've watched that changed me. Seeing things from new perspective, learning about how far love can take you, or how important it is to have friends around you. These are things that would have been put to the test in reality and I wouldn't have been prepared for. But by watching shows and cartoons and animes and reading about these different things in books, I'm allowed to recontextualize ideas in a way that prepares me for if I ever experience them. Heartbreak is rough to get through when you don't know anything. But heartbreak is easier when you know how to heal, when you know how to listen, when you know how to express yourself to others. Alright, I do think I talked a lot about my thoughts when it comes to being a fan, or I talked a little bit about being a creator in some of these spaces. There's good and bad. You know, you can go into the store, but that flaming dumpster will always be there. There's nothing you can do about it. You can prevent a fire, but a fire is still going to start. So you just have to accept that there is no such thing as a perfect fandom. There is no such thing as everyone's in harmony. That is strictly fantasy, delusional speak. But there is such thing as you controlling what you indulge in. There's no one that's going to moderate these things for you. If you want to be a fan of something, you're going to have to put your foot down on your boundaries. You're going to have to be like, okay, I really like this, but I don't like that. Do I want to sit here and deal with it? And that's a question only you can ask yourself. If you want to get into a new book, but you know that everyone that reads this book is insufferable, you don't have to tell anybody. Fun fact, you can just be a fan and tell no one. It's that easy. That is a secret option you can take. And we are back. You're going to hear a small fan in the background. The summer is here. It is on and popping. And so I must have a fan in the background to keep everything cool. whenever I draw or I have my overhead light on, it kind of makes everything warm. So the things we have to do. But I finished the line art of my spread. I did change their outfit from a swimsuit to just be their invader outfit. I don't know. I was kind of been feeling really wishy-washy with the spread. I just wanted it to look good, and I wasn't sure if doing multiple outfits was going to work, because I already did the different outfits here. So I just decided to keep it simple and just do their invader outfits. I'm not sure if I'm going to color everything in, or if I'll just... I know I'm going to fill in a lot of spots with my black ink pen, because majority of their outfit is like black, but I know I do want to color in this full body piece here. I'm not sure if I want to color in this one here. I might do like some little accent colors around the page, and then maybe some washi tape and stickers. I'm not sure. I didn't leave a lot of room for like my usual collage decorative bits, so we will see what happens. So I'm going to get all set up, and we are going to go over to voiceover Toby. Okay, so while I'm coloring, I do want to take this moment to talk about something a little more personal, I guess, for myself. As you guys may or may not know, I did have to have some teeth removed because they cracked, and I had to go to an emergency dentist appointment and have it removed. Couldn't talk for a while, but my insurance didn't cover it, so I do have to pay it off myself. And I've been struggling a little bit. I've been trying to pick up hours at work, but it's slow season, so the restaurant isn't super busy. And so I started a GoFundMe. So it is linked down below in the description. If you can help, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you can't, I'd appreciate it if you could just share it. Get the word out there so that maybe someone can help me out while I'm trying to raise enough money to pay off my medical debt. I will say that it does have my real name on there. That's just how GoFundMe works. So it has my real name on there. It also has the city that I live in, and all I ask is that I know that it's public on this thing that I'm posting, but just don't comment my name or my city under my post. That's all I ask for, because I'm in a very vulnerable position right now, and my dad always says that a closed mouth doesn't get fed. If you need help, you have to ask for it. So I'm asking for help, but I don't want these things being put everywhere where everyone's commenting it. I know it's visible on the GoFundMe, just pretend you don't see it. Okay, thank you. Okay, now I thought about it as I was doing my different voiceovers. If you haven't figured it out, I record these videos over a span of a couple of days. It's not all done at once, so I am allowed to take a step away, and then I come back and I'm like, I have another thought to think. And I want to kind of talk about being a fan as a content creator yourself, because I feel like that puts you in a different ballpark as to other people. Because yes, there's people who are fans of things, they read the fan fiction, they like the post, they watch the show. Then there's the people that make the fan fiction, the people that make the fan art, the AUs, the animations. And we get put in such a competitive category, it's not even funny. Because you have to fight to keep people's attention, not just on the thing you're into, but people will come to you for that specific fandom and nothing else. I think there was like this one artist I loved, and they did a bunch of like Dragon Ball Z fan art, but they had their own comic, and no one would talk about their comic and stuff. They would only talk about the Dragon Ball Z stuff they did. And there was a point on Tumblr where I think it's a woman, but I'm going to use they them because I can't remember what their pronouns were. But they put out a post that said, hey, I'm not going to draw Dragon Ball Z fan art anymore. I'm focusing on my own OCs. And people would still ask them for Dragon Ball Z fan art. And it's another thing of like that fans entitlement. Like fans feel entitled to get what they want from content creators. And it's like, no, I am a person. I'm going to do what I want to do. You need to back off. And that's the drawbacks of when you're in a fandom and you're a creator. People will expect so much from you, and it's like, yo, no, this isn't even the thing I made. I'm just doing fan art. You guys need to back off. And yeah, it feels nice when people like give attention to your work and people like really like the fan art you're doing because you liked the fan art you were doing. But it can also be really sad because when people only see you or only come to you for that fan art, it kind of makes it feel like your other artworks didn't matter. And when you try to branch out and do stuff that is more personal to you, no one's there. So it can be a little disheartening and I'd say dehumanizing being a content creator as like an artist because no one will care for you. They only care about what you give them. So it's a bit sadder on that end, being a fan and a creator. But I can't imagine the other end of being a creator and having a fandom. Because everyone talks about, oh, people would mischaracterize my OCs, or everyone would cancel me because of the things I said in my youth, or I don't know what some of you guys might be saying in your youth. I know what I said, but I also know that I come from a black background because I'm black. So I'm not going to get in trouble for saying the N-word because I am the N-word, you know? And then I've never said anything to the degree of any kind of sexist or degenerate comments that I see some people be posting on their Twitter, and then they act like they didn't post it. It's like, my guy, what part of the internet is forever did you not understand? Why would you even say that in the first place? But not everyone has common sense. At this point, I wouldn't even call it common sense. It's just sense, and they ain't got it. These bitches are broke. So I don't want to have a fandom, if I'm being honest. Like, I know I create little comics here and there, and I'm working on a comic series right now, and I know that having a fandom or being popular might be beneficial, but there are a lot of drawbacks to that. You got to deal with fan entitlement on like an 11. Like, I, as a person who's made fan art for things, I had to deal with people feeling entitled on like maybe a 3 out of 10. You know, sometimes they pop up and they're like, you should do this, and I'm like, no, and they're like, why not? And I'm like, because I said so. You're not my boss. I don't get paid to do this. Back off. But if I was a content creator and I had a fandom, people would be like hounding you for like the latest issue of the work or confirmation on what this character said or what this voice actor said, or, oh, you drew this panel like this and this character appears in the animated show like this. What are your thoughts and opinions on it? And it's like, can't I just have fun? Like, what happened to creating and having fun? Being a fan is supposed to be fun. I shouldn't have to do a whole book report on why this problematic person in this fandom is not, related to anything I'm doing in this fandom. Like, I shouldn't have to play defense on everything. Just let me be here. Let me have my fun. But that's what makes being a fan exhausting. And I don't want to be exhausted. You know, I indulge in all these fun pieces of media to get away from how exhausting reality is. And I can't enjoy my fun pieces of media because every time I open up the internet, something is wrong everywhere. This is my emotional support dumpster fire, and I love it. Ta-da! So, here is how our full spread turned out. I decided to fill in a little bit of the blank space with stickers and a couple of notes about Vix's backstory or their passion, what drives them as a character. And what drives them as a character is to be as messy and distracting as possible. And they take pride in doing that. Overall, I'm happy with how this turned out. I know I didn't talk a lot about my art process this video, but I like switching things up now and then and just being able to express myself, getting my thoughts out there. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!